And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'm today with another brand new video for Gaming with GS. And today we're here on GW2, and I just want to talk a little bit about the most recent patch we had on Tuesday regarding the Lunar New Year, and about a few events that have been happening over the past few days regarding a situation that happened in the Chinese server regarding Lake Doric. So I do have some opinions on that, and give you some thoughts and some disappointments on that. So that's basically what we're going to talk about. I do want to apologize in advance for the fact that we haven't had many videos on the channel. Usually around this point of the month we'd have like 10 videos in the channel, but it's just been pretty busy this month. My university started. There hasn't been much content released in Guild Wars 2 either, and January tends to be a very slow month for YouTube because ad revenue is very low. So you see a lot of YouTubers making content in November and December very heavy and like going full force forward, but January everything tends to slow down a bit. So I've been trying to make up for that revenue loss for January by working a bit more on my side job so I can make up for that revenue loss. So hopefully you understand that, and hopefully you're okay with that. So let's go ahead and jump into the video and let's get started. Just to know also, the reason why this video is so late is because I recorded this video last night, Wednesday, but the audio file got corrupted and I had to re-record the entire thing, which I'm doing right now. So I hope this take is good because the last take was really good. It was 25 minutes long though, so maybe I can shorten it up. So apologies on that as well. Anyway though, if you remember last week we had a mini patch. They didn't really add much. They just took Winter's Day away from us, and a lot of people didn't like that because they just took Winter's Day away. They didn't put anything new in. They could have let Winter's Day go for another week, which would have made sense, and I agree with that. They could have left it in, but apparently now this week we got the Lunar New Year Festival. Now I love the Lunar New Year Festival because I love the Dragon Ball Arena. I love the fact that you can boost your magic find very high, so it's a great place for that too. So it's a great festival, but be aware that this festival is mainly geared to a very specific group of people. If you need magic find, this is probably the best festival you can get out of the entire year. You can get lots of essences of luck from some of the envelopes here. You can also get a good amount of gold if you like to gamble gold. That's really good too. So if you need luck, this is a great festival. If you like to gamble your gold and have a chance at getting some good profit, this is a good festival for you. If you like Dragon Ball Arena and you like playing an arcade stylish team 5v5 sort of thing, then this is also a great festival for you. But if you don't fall into any of those three categories, well then it's pretty much kind of a festival that you can overlook because there's not really much else to it. In fact, the Lunar New Year Festival is probably the festival that has the least amount of content, the least amount of new content this year compared to the Halloween and the Christmas Festival, where they put a bit more effort into it, they put more loot into it, and we had some new things. But for Lunar New Year, there is really nothing new. It is the year of the rooster, so we do have a new rooster backpack that you can craft or you can get from the trading post. We also have a celestial rooster harvesting sickle that you can buy from the gem store, and we have a rooster mini, a celestial rooster mini that you can get from the Black Lion chests on a rare drop. So you do have a few new things, but that's granted because it's a new year. They have to make, you know, new rooster orientated items because it's the year of the rooster, so it only makes sense for them to do so. But if you compare the festivals, Lunar New Year is probably the one with the least amount of new content in it. We also got one new guild decoration, which is also kind of disappointing because, you know, guild decorations have become very popular. And during Halloween, during Winter's Day, we got a lot of guild decorations that were really unique. I know on Winter's Day we had these huge blocks that we could play around with. In Halloween we got some cool stuff as well. And you'd think that, you know, since they're not putting much into Lunar New Year, at least they have some good decorations. I mean, they have a whole guild team dedicated towards guilds, but unfortunately, we just have one new decoration. I think it's like some type of lantern that you can buy. You have to convert your essences of luck for that, so you can trade in a currency to get that guild decoration. With all that said, that's pretty much all the new stuff for Lunar New Year. I will be redirecting you to last year's Lunar New Year Festival guide because everything in that video is still very relevant. So if you're new to the Lunar New Year Festival, if you're new to this game and you've never done this festival and you want some more information on what this festival is about, some information about the envelopes of how you can buy them every day, some information about how you can sell them in a trading post. I don't think I mentioned this in the other video, but if you sell the letters in the trading post, you actually make a profit automatically. So be aware about that. You can open the letters and you have a chance of getting, you know, some trophies that sell for huge amounts, but if you don't want to take the gamble, you can buy the letters and sell them on a trading post for automatic profit. So you can do that. I don't mention that in the other video, but I do think it's important. So if you want to check out the video from last year about the festival, I'll leave a card on screen right now. You can click the card, go to that guide, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about the Dragon Ball Arena, about the achievements. I do know that there is an achievement called Light Up the Sky. We do have achievements for Lunar New Year as well. There's not a lot of them, but Light Up the Sky achievement basically requires you to light up 100 fireworks and blast them in the air. There is a neat little way to get that achievement. You go to Ratasum and you go to the, I believe it's the researcher waypoint. You can talk to Pyromancer Zart, I believe his name is, and you can actually buy some fireworks for 32 copper, and you can basically get the achievement that way. So that's a neat little way to get that achievement if you don't want to collect them through opening envelopes or through playing Dragon Ball. Also, the achievement called Firecracker Finder. If you want to find all 10 of those firecrackers, the footage in the background right now is me, you know, collecting all the firecrackers. So if you want the guide on that, just look at the footage in the background, and you'll follow the ways I'm going. Follow the directions that I'm going throughout Divinity's Reach in that little area, and you'll find all of them as well. Because I don't think last year's video has some footage on me finding the firecrackers. So this year's footage does have that included. And be aware that if you want to unlock more envelopes, you need to get a coffer. And with that coffer, you can then unlock more achievements. You get a coffer by playing the Dragon Ball Arena a lot. So those are the highlights. I just wanted to, you know, give you a very, very brief summary of it. But if you want more detailed information about it, watch last year's video. Now, we do have some new gem store stuff as well. I already mentioned the harvesting sickle. That's new that we got. But we also have some new solar and lunar dyes. Some of these look really cool. Rose gold looks really cool. This new yellow dye looks cool. The new black dye looks really awesome too. I want to give that one. So some pretty cool new dyes. We also have an update to the Black Lion chests. So if you've been saving your keys like I have because you thought the Winter's Day Black Lion chests weren't that worth, then, well, you're right. Now you can actually get the Lunar New Year version of the Black Lion chest. And I do have an opinion here about this that I think is kind of inconsistent with how they're doing Black Lion chests. If you remember back in Halloween, the Black Lion chest gave us trick-or-treat bags, right? And I think I can't remember if quite accurately if that was when they changed Black Lion chests, where you got I think 1 or 5 trick-or-treat bags as the first slot in the Black Lion chest. And I think for Winter's Day you got I didn't open a Black Lion chest in Winter's Day, but I think you got Winter's Day gifts in the first slot, or maybe you got something else. But the thing is that currently the Black Lion chest gives you an envelope, right? And when you open that envelope, you have a chance of getting some of the trophies that sell for 88 silvers or 8 gold. You also get some luck, so it's basically a free envelope. If you compare that, that is much more valuable than some of the things that we got in the previous Black Lion chests, and I feel like that's a bit inconsistent. I think they should ensure that for every Black Lion chest, that first item that you get should be valuable across all the seasons, because I can see some people being a bit annoyed that they may have bought a bunch of keys in October or November or December, and they got, you know, whatever item there was in the Black Lion chest for the first slot, a ton of those, but now people who are buying the keys in January are getting a ton of letters, and those letters are technically more valuable. Because if you think about it, you can have a chance of getting some trophy items that sell for nearly a gold or over a gold. So technically they are more valuable. So I think there needs to be some consistency standards there when deciding on that first item in the Black Lion chest. But if you want to check the Black Lion chest out, there's plenty of new skins. We have 2 new skin sets, I believe. I think Phoenix is one set. There's another set where it's a new red set. It looks pretty cool too. Once again, those are rare drops though, so you'll need a Black Lion key. And You probably need to buy those or you need to farm for those. Rox's Pathfinder outfit is also going to be coming to the gem store as well. And if you're interested in getting some of the miniatures, we have a mini tiger, a miniature ram, a mini puppy, mini golden pig, and mini red panda, which are all available for one Blackline miniature claim ticket at the Blackline miniature claim ticket vendor. So that's pretty much all the patch notes that we had for Tuesday's patch covering Lunar New Year. Not much in it, but if you love Lunar New Year like I do, then it's a pretty good patch for you. Now, over the past few days, we've also had a story come to the rise. It started on Reddit, I believe, where Lake Doric was accidentally released, or at least that's what people thought. Technically, Lake Doric is a map that basically surrounds Divinity's Reach. It's the area around Divinity's Reach, and that's called Lake Doric. Now, it's never been released in the Guild Wars 2, but if you completed Central Tyria, there is a bug, and I don't know if the bug still exists today, but I do know over the past 2 years or so, people have been reporting that they've been getting map completion for a map called Lake Doric when they complete the Central Core Tyria map completion. So they would be getting a pop-up that says, oh, you've completed map completion for Lake Doric. This being said, this new map has been in the client. We've just never been able to go to it. No one's ever been there. It's never been active because it was a scrapped idea. It was something they were going to put into the game, but they never really put into the game. In fact, one of the developers on the topic said that it was supposed to be a high-level Kryta map, which is a really cool idea because if you think about it, every area tends to have a high-level zone. Frostgorge Sound is a high-level zone for the Shiver Peaks, then Mount Maelstrom, I think, and Mount Maelstrom, Sparkfly Fen. I mean, all those areas are pretty much the high-level zones for the Radasum area, which is the Maguma Jungle. And then we have in Ascalon, we have the Fields of Ruin, which are fairly high-level, I guess. And the only one that doesn't really have a high-level area is Kryta. The highest level there is probably Harathi Hinterlands, but nothing really goes higher than that. So Lake Doric was supposed to be the higher-level map for Kryta, which I would have loved to see. But like I said, the idea got scrapped and they decided not to put the map into the game. Now, over the past few days on the Chinese client, people were actually able to get into this Lake Doric map, and there are actually some screenshots as well, which you should see on screen right now also. And now, how did people get to this map was the big question, and it was basically a really cool story that one of the developers, Lindsay Murdoch, decided to give some insight on. If you want to read the full comment thread on Reddit of how Lindsay Murdoch explains the story. She also gives a bunch of other comments talking to the community, which I thought was really cool. I'll leave the link in the description below so you can check that thread out. However, I will only be covering the key highlights, some of the things that I thought were interesting, and give my opinions on a few things of how this can possibly relate to future maps and possibly in future expansions in a bit. But she basically said that Lake Murdoch and Divinity's Reach have a very similar name in the coding of the game. So what happened is that there's an item in the game which is a teleportation scroll. Each city has a teleportation scroll. Now, a lot of us don't have these items because they're very expensive. It costs like 200, 300 gold. I've never even bothered to look at it. I never found any use to it because they basically function the same way as a waypoint. The only difference is you can be wherever you want in the game and it teleports you to the city without paying any waypoint fees, which is great. But they cost so much that nobody really ever does it. On the Chinese client, there aren't as many people as there are on the NA client, so even less people are probably even going after this item than we are here. But actually, somebody did have this item. Somebody got the Divinity's Reach teleportation scroll. And when they clicked the teleportation scroll, they got teleported to Lake Doric and not Divinity's Reach. So there was an error in the referencing of the teleportation. The reference name for Lake Doric was very similar to the reference name of Divinity's Reach. So instead of having the player be teleported to Divinity's Reach, it was teleported to Lake Doric because the coder basically got confused with the reference names and he or she put the wrong reference name in there. So it's a pretty cool little story of how that happened. That's basically how someone was able to get into the Lake Doric map on the Chinese client because of this teleportation scroll. Now, I'm pretty sure they fixed the bug and there's no way we can get into the map, but it would have been really awesome if there was a way that we could get into the map, because from the screenshots, it looks like a really cool map to explore. However, from here on, a lot of people started to speculate of whether this will be an episode 4 map for season 3. A lot of people wanted to see if the map would come out in the future, and we got a statement from Lindsay Murdoch, one of the devs, saying that it basically won't ever come out. And in fact, it's kind of hard to believe that it will be an episode 4 map, because if we remember, this map has been in game for a while now because people have been getting map completion for it. So it's not like it's a new map that they just accidentally released. It's been there for a while. Also, we know that from the AMA that all the new episodes that are coming out for Season 3 will have a new map created, or they'll try to create a new map that is created from scratch. So it's going to be a made map that's started from the ground up. It's not going to be a map that's already been made. So once again, another reason why this wouldn't be a map for episode 4 or any of the episodes pretty much for Living World Season 3. Now, some people did request that they released a map, but you could see how that could be a double-edged blade there, because some people may feel like, oh, it's kind of a half-assed way to introduce more content when it's really not content. And you'll only be able to explore, and some people don't like to only explore, they actually want content. So you'll have like half and half, people who will hate the idea, some will love the idea. So Arena basically said they're not going to do that either. So it is sad to see that we'll never be able to go into Lake Doric, but there are a few more things that I find a bit more important to discuss regarding some of these comments that Lindsay Murdoch made. Now, one of the quotes that I thought was really interesting and speaks 1,000 words to me, which will basically lead us into the discussion for the rest of this video, is the following right here. She says that the map is definitely off the table, and it's highly unlikely that we will ever put a map into the game again that has that much playable underwater space in it. We generally try to minimize how much underwater combat we ask of players at this point. Now, the reason why I say this is the most important quote out of everything here, and the reason why I say this quote speaks 1,000 words to me, is because what can only come to mind is, obviously, yes, we'll never get to see Lake Doric, which sucks already on its own, because I'm a person who wanted to see all the Guild Wars 2 maps. So not being able to explore Lake Doric is already kind of sucky and kind of disappointing. But what makes this even worse now is that, will they not create any maps that deal with a lot of water content? Will we not get some of the maps that are around the coast of Tyria, on the edges of the continent? Will we not get those maps anymore now because people just don't like underwater content, so now they're going to limit themselves for which maps they're going to release and not? If that's the case, that's going to be even more disappointing, because I want to see all the maps in Tyria. I want to be able to, at one day, at one point in time, look at my world map and be like, wow, we have the entire map discovered. That would be so awesome and so cool. But it seems like now that's never going to happen. Lake Doric is already never going to come in the game, so who knows how many other maps they've tried to make that may have included a lot of water that may be on the coast, but they're never going to release now because people hate underwater content. Just having that thought and, you know, knowing that one map is already not going to be released, how many others could there be, is already disappointing. So that's one issue that I have with it, and I feel like that's kind of sucky. Because, you know, just because some people don't like underwater content, now they're not going to release the map. That seems kind of a dumb reason to me. And if we think about it, maybe they will make Lake Doric again. Maybe they will make some of these other maps again, but they'll change the way that they function. If you think about Bitterfrost Frontier, this is a great example. Bitterfrost Frontier was a map that was above Frostgorge Sound. And when we were speculating, okay, there was one video where we were talking about the next map is going to be above Frostgorge Sound. It's going to include a lot of ice, a lot of mountains, and a lot of water. And at the time, that was pretty accurate, because if you looked above Frostgorge Sound, that's what was there. But when the map actually got released, there was barely any underwater content. They made the map, they basically kind of changed the map so that a lot of it is just frozen ice, and there really wasn't much underwater content there. So maybe they'll change things like that, where they'll change the landscaping a bit, or they'll change things by changing the focus of the map. If you look at Ember Bay, there's a lot of water there too, but the focus is never really in the water. There's one event underwater, and the rest is all on land. So maybe they'll change the focus of maps. Maybe they'll focus all their attention to the land if they do create some of these maps that have a lot of water, and they'll kind of just ignore the water and they'll make it very minimal, where you only can, like in Bitter Frost Frontier, the only reason why you'd go underwater is to collect some of the stanzas for one of the collections, and the other reason is to collect the Unbound Magic bubbles that are underneath there. There's really no other reason to go underwater. And in Ember Bay, there's really no other reason either unless you're doing the Drake event. So maybe they'll do something like that, but still, that does seem kind of disappointing even more so, because if they do end up changing the landscaping, then it won't be the Tyria map that we know, which also sucks. And if they don't include underwater content, then it just feels like they're neglecting some of the map, and that also is kind of sucky, you know? So it's just kind of a disappointing situation for me. Maybe it's just a personal thing. Definitely would like to hear your opinions. You know, I completely understand that a lot of people don't like underwater content, and obviously it makes sense. You know, if a good amount of people don't like something in the game, then why would you give development time towards it? And I completely understand that. But to completely scrap an idea and not put it in game, that just seems kind of sucky, and I think they could still put the map in the game and just, you know, limit it like they did in Ember Bay. You could limit it like you did in Ember Bay, even though there's a lot of water in Lake Doric, or they say there's a lot of water, but in actuality, there's not that much water in Lake Doric. But they could do something like in Ember Bay, you know, where they have to focus on the land and then have minimal focus on the water. But oh well, that's what they want to do. There's nothing we can do about it. Just thought I'd throw my opinion out there. And the other thing that's also really even more interesting to me then is what happens to the Deep Sea Dragon. We do know there is a Deep Sea Dragon in the story of Guild Wars 2. How will they ever implement this? Will they ever implement a Deep Sea Dragon? Will they ever create an underwater expansion? It seems like they're never going to do that anymore either. A lot of people speculated of an underwater expansion and how it would incorporate the Deep Sea Dragon and how there may be an underwater overhaul. It seems like all of that is now out the window, because we have a developer here saying that they're definitely not going to be focusing on underwater content, and they're definitely not going to be focusing on requiring people to play as much underwater content as Lake Doric had. And if you think about it, Lake Doric doesn't have much underwater content, so if they're already going to stop at Lake Doric with the amount of underwater content there is, which there's not that much, then imagine, they're probably not going to go for things that have a huge amount of underwater content ever, so having a deep sea underwater expansion is probably never gonna happen. Maybe they'll horseshoe the Deep Sea Dragon in some way, some weird way where people can avoid the underwater stuff, and the story will be like trying to go over hills, you know, trying to avoid the water. That'll be kind of weird. But if they do that, that would also be kind of sucky and strange. So maybe they will never include the Deep Sea Dragon. We don't know. That would be really sucky too, though. But you know, from this one comment, you can just think about a lot of things. We'll never get an underwater overhaul. They'll never... Will they even make underwater legendaries? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, maybe they won't even do that. That's another thing you could think about. There's a lot of things you can think about when you hear this comment. Will they ever make Aqua Breathers that are legendary? Maybe not, you know? Will they ever make an expansion that deals with underwater? Will we ever get the Deep Sea Dragon? Will we ever get maps that are around the coast? Like... There's a lot of things to think about here, and from this one comment, it doesn't seem like we're going to get a lot of it. So I just wanted to throw my opinion out there. Who knows if we'll even get the Owls of Janthier? You know, the Owls of Janthier are surrounded by a lot of water too, so who knows? But let me know your opinions. Let me know your comments. What do you guys think? Do you think that Lake Doric should be in the game? Do you think that they should focus a bit more on underwater content? Do you hate underwater content? Are you glad they're not putting it in there? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Would really love to know. And I'll definitely be down there answering your comments in the comments section and talking to you guys as usual. And that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over in this video. Hopefully this take isn't longer than 25 minutes. It's pretty much the exact same length, so wow. So if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. Would really appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you on board. Plenty of other Guild Wars 2 news videos, plenty of other Guild Wars 2 discussions, Guild Wars 2 guides, Guild Wars 2 gold guides. Lots of cool stuff on the channel. So if you want to be up to date with all the Guild Wars 2 videos, including all the gaming videos we have on here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you on board. And if you want to check out the vlogging channel, the tutorials channel, the advice channel, the music channel, links are in the description as well as on the end screen. I also want to do a quick little note that I will be starting a podcast with a friend of mine. It's going to be a very casual podcast. If you're interested in my content, I thought I'd say it so that you guys can be in the loop and, you know, join the podcast if you'd like to do so. It's probably going to be a weekly podcast. It's going to be on YouTube. We'll try to get on iTunes tunes as well. It's going to be a very casual podcast. We're going to talk about Guild Wars 2 maybe here and there. We'll talk about gaming. We'll talk about the world around us. We'll talk about our lives. Basically anything in our minds. I think it's a good listen if you have nothing to do, if you're trying to lay down, go to sleep, if you're trying to play Guild Wars 2, if you're driving, if you just want something to listen to. I think it'll be a good podcast for you. So if you're interested in my content, if you're interested in me, if you're interested in any of that, I will leave a link to the podcast in the description, as well as a button on the end card. You can click that button and subscribe to the channel so you'll be up to date when the first podcast gets released. It's probably going to be sometime over the weekend. And yeah, it's pretty much everything I wanted to say. So thank you for watching as always, guys. Sorry for the late video, technical issues, and a bunch of other crap. So hopefully you understand. This is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.